Alpha Nerd Podcast. I'm your main host, Kyle, with my temporary / one-off guest, John, for the gaming side of things.
Hey, how's it going? Gaming side of things. You said we were talking about bosses.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah. You said we were talking about bosses. So like Monday and Tuesday after you told me that, I started watching The Office and like learning more about Michael Scott. And after watching that, I think Michael Scott, he's actually a really good guy and not, he's an underrated character.
See, now I
He
remember
really
why I
cares
don't
about his
invite you to
employees.
shit. You can now cuss now because we're doing this. We are no longer associated with WXPI.
Well, I won't cuss now, but it's okay.
Yeah, fuck you. So, Resident Evil 4 came out, what, 3-4 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. I still haven't beaten it. I probably could have beaten it if I wasn't busy watching The Office.
Is this going to be your through line for this whole episode?
Maybe.
Okay, just so I know. So, the first one came out in 2004?
Yeah, 2004 on the GameCube exclusively.
For about 6 months to a year, and then it came to PS2.
Sounds about right.
And as of April 2023, we got a remake.
I would say it's probably the best remake of a video game that I've gotten to experience.
Did you play Resident Evil Remake 2?
No.
That
was it really good?
Yes. I actually think that was a lot better of a remake than what RE4 remake is.
Well, you also get further away from the source material and the time, right? Because the RE2 remake was done pretty recently. RE4 was done recently. RE4 had better graphics than RE2 though, because the difference in time between those games. Yeah. So I mean that is a consideration, but yeah, if they kept the plot awesome, like that's cool. Yeah, RE4, I know they definitely.
So with the RE2, like RE2, the original was not hokey. Like it was a little bit hokey, but it wasn't as ridiculous as like the original RE4.
Stop. Get down.
Yeah.
All the corny
bad voice acting and all that.
It's a hallmark of Resident Evil.
Yeah, and that's one of the through lines is the campiness and the ridiculous nonsensical plot sometimes. Because in the Resident Evil that there's just an endless supply of evil douchebags that just want to use uncontrollable slime monsters to conquer the world for no reason.
Yeah, a diverse series of bad guys. You have Wesker in the original.
It was Albert Wesker, Ashford. What was the other dude? William Birkin.
The Nemesis.
The other guy. The Umbrella Corporation in general. They're seediness. But
do you think calling them the Umbrella Corp is a little on the nose?
Yeah, not really, because
I mean, they are an umbrella corporation because they peddle cosmetic products, but they're actually doing, seedy shit.
I mean, yeah. I love Resident Evil. It's just
I do.
So much stuff is on the nose and ridiculous. But so you're what, about halfway, I'd say?
Probably about that. Maybe a little bit more. I'm past. I think I'm about to pass the castle.
Okay, what's the last thing that happened?
I think the hedge maze.
All right, so you're about 70% way to the castle.
Yeah. Yep.
So what I can talk to you about right now without spoiling anything for you is a lot of how the difference between Leon Kennedy and RE4 the original and the difference in this.
Okay. What are the notable differences that you saw?
The notable differences is, first of all, they took out the camp. How Resident Evil 4 the original wrote Leon Kennedy is almost a pseudo Ash Williams masculine power fantasy character. He wore the sweet vest, the sweet coat, and he did all kinds of action hero stuff, and he was an over the top character.
Yeah, I can see that too. There is some over the top stuff a little bit with this, but it's definitely not nearly as much.
They've muted it down quite a bit. They took it from a 10 down to like maybe a 6.
Yeah,
because he's coming across more of a sincere hero instead of
sure.
the over the top action hero where, if they took a picture of Resident Evil in the 90s, Ashley would be clutching his leg in like a bikini
Yeah,
while
right.
Ada Wong's like wrapped in his arms.
Hyper realized pastel print, the
Yeah,
whole
and
nine yards.
everything's on fire behind him, and there's an American eagle flowing overhead. But so they took that away. They took a lot of that away. They changed a lot of the scenes, like when you meet Mendez.
They they did make some changes there. They did keep some stuff in that I was very happy about.
Yes,
I'm so glad that they left the dog in.
yes, the wolf. Yes, I'm glad they left the wolf in. Um, they left a lot of things in, but they took some.
It is a dog. He quite literally his quote is,
No,
"Hey, it's that dog."
fair enough. So, like I said, when they took out a lot of the B movie action hero campiness of Leon, I I felt the game was weaker for it, but as a remake where they're trying to keep with the more serious side of it, like I'm okay with it. Like I understand why they toned that down.
Yeah. The RE engine from what I heard they used the RE engine for Resident Evil 2, 3, and
This
this Resident Evil 4.
So
It looks really good.
yeah, it's excellent all around. You should play the RE2 remake because they fine tune the graphics quite a bit between the three games. Um, two, they have this weird scene where Leon and Claire are talking to each other, and they were almost kind of claymation a little bit there for a second because when they smiled, like they overly did the dimples and stuff, so it looked kind of off. Like a, do you ever see the cover of We Happy Few?
No.
Look up the look. Since you have your phone there, take a look at the cover of We Happy Few, the mask they wear.
Yeah.
That's how their smiles look like for like a hot second and a half while they're talking.
They have like uh you can change the graphics in the game
Yeah.
and like set facial animations to like 400%. It is the most cursed thing that you can see. It is, and 100% with the We Happy Few. I get what you're going for.
That's the face they make when Leon
Yeah,
smiles at Claire. It gets stuck like that for like a hot second. I was like, whoa.
Leon's
So
cheesing for Claire.
so like, and I'm gonna use because we're gonna do a movie review here soon on this too. One of the things that's why I feel this game is weaker for it is, like I said, they took away the B movie action campiness, where that's what made the original RE4 pop out so well and be so well received. Is Leon Kennedy's alpha male dumb personality, where he's like, "I'm going to win this no matter what," and just like one-liners and all that. They took a lot of that away,
Yeah,
and what they decided to do,
they took some of that out for sure.
they took a
He
lot of
still
it
has
out.
a personality that like
Yeah, but it's more the everyman hero, which is
yeah.
fine. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that's what made RE4 such an explosive title when it came out. Is it was just so they just took Leon over the top. They took Albert Wesker over the top. Everybody was over the top as a character. Um, like I said, they took away almost all his one-liners that he had in the original RE4, and then what they did was to give fan service. They used them as the names for the achievements that you got through the game. So when you beat Mendez, the one-liner that Leon says to him as he's dying comes up on the bomb as a tag for your trophy.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I'm glad I feel included, so I feel a little bit better about it. I was not disappointed at all though. With with the game as a whole. Yeah.
I was scared.
Oh yeah, everyone was.
I was scared. One thing that scared me also was Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
Oh
How
my
how they did my boy Leon in that movie
god. How they
was
did.
such an atrocity.
Let's not just say Leon because we actually went over this.
Leon is literally like it's so bad with Leon that it eclipses every other flaw in that movie to me. I was so freaking irate with how incompetent they wrote him. I
They,
get it, he's a
they
new
wrote
officer.
everyone bad in that. They wrote every. Albert Wesker is no longer, the '90s villain douchebag that wears shades, his hair slicked back at all times. Now he's the big goofy guy from the Umbrella Academy, and all I can see is him in his giant little trench coat with his gorilla body every time.
You know, I get what you're saying with that, but uh, I, I'm not sure if it would have made it better if they would have recreated the
Exact
lab
experience.
coat Wesker with sunglasses on in the middle of the laboratory. I don't think that's the Wesker we needed for this movie.
No,
but
what we
I get what you're
needed
saying.
the douchebag, unrealistically evil for the sake of money and shit. Wesker, not this guy's like, oh, this town's shutting down, so we need money so we can live happy. I'm gonna turn to not even real evil, just kind of because he was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to shoot you now.
He was like very very evil. Like meh.
Yeah, like he's doing it because and that's a thing I'm gonna talk with Dan on our antagonists special that we're gonna do here in a little bit. Um, they wanted to try to do the sympathetic villain angle with that instead of just being a douchebag who is the kind of guy who can't eat breakfast unless he makes the chicken that laid the eggs. Watch him cook and scramble those eggs and eat them himself. Like that was the original Wesker. Like he
Yeah,
was
no,
that
that's fair.
absurdly evil. Like he's gonna make the chicken watch eat his omelet. You're talking about she's going on. Are you dying?
I mean, every day.
Yeah, fair enough. So the other thing, like I said, with overtopness is like they took Ada Wong and gave her a sensible outfit. She has
Big down on that. Nope.
it's weird.
Not okay. Yep.
It's weird looking. It is. It's because it's a weird like sweater dress thing with like a pants combo and her thigh high boots, which is fine, whatever. But it's definitely not the original outfit she had, which was I work at a Chinese brothel, like
Okay,
a Chinese
right.
brothel super agent. Like remember that dress?
Yeah.
It was a little Chinese.
She is half Chinese.
Yes, but it was like the stereotype dress. It was a like Chinese brothel cocktail dress.
I think that's called a cultural dress, not a stereotype. Kyle.
Yeah, well, and then she had the high heels on, like, and they were not small high heels; they were like 6-inch high heels.
Look, you know what? If Leon S. Kennedy can jump through a second story window, land and just fucking walk like there's no problem, then Ada Wong can run fucking 20 miles per hour in her high heels and nobody fucking hears her anywhere. She's no clock
and a grappling gun, and her scarf that never seemed to get caught on anything. That dress never got caught on anything. We were talking about that. They're like,
this is representation. We have a female protagonist that has just the unrealistic things the male.
Is she a protagonist though? She's kind of a.
I would if I was putting her in the.
She's the what's her face to Sherlock Holmes. The chick he's always Irene Adler. She's the Adler to his Holmes.
Yeah,
where she's not really a good guy, but she's not.
She's neutral.
Yeah, she's neutral. She's just
neutral.
doing it for
like
herself.
she helps. Leon
Now, another important detail of that is they changed voice actors from RE2 remake to RE4.
Did they use Matt Mercer for RE2 remake?
No, they used the guy that's there now.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know the voice name.
The voice actor for the Netflix series is going to be Matt Mercer. I wonder if he did the voice acting for any of the other Resident Evils.
I think he did. I think he did for all the other 3D Resident Evil movies.
Okay.
But for RE4 remake, I don't know what happened, but they could not get the girl who voiced Ada in RE2 remake. I don't know why. I wanted to look into it, but I kind of got sidetracked with life.
We'll have it in the comments section.
Yeah.
When somebody comments the answer.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. So they changed that. They did cut out some content. I don't want to spoil anything for you because I can try to think of where you're at to see if it's.
I mean, I beat the original game. There's not going to be that much that's that different.
Yeah, well, some of the stuff they cut out.
I know you can throw 2 golden eggs to beat the final boss.
Not the final boss.
All right. Well,
Salazar. No, Sadler's the final boss. Ramon. It's Ramon, the little Napoleon guy.
Yeah, I don't know that I like his character model in this game.
It's still really good. It's still really ridiculous. It went for more Elizabethan than Napoleon,
Yeah,
which I can be okay with because he's still just as ridiculous.
he is ridiculous.
Old guy. He's actually harder than the actual end boss,
Yeah,
in my opinion. His
I turned
his boss fight's difficult.
yeah. I think my favorite boss in this game is the original chainsaw guy you run into
Oh, the
in the first village. Like
yeah.
I I, I remember just being scared when I first played the game. In this game, I knew it was going to happen, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this." And you
There it
just
is,
have to
anyways.
deal with it.
Yep.
My buddy, he got this remake on my recommendation. He had so much trouble with the original Village. It reminded me of back in the day when I first got the game, and man, it took me forever to get past the first Village the first time I played it.
Yeah, it game's a pain in the ass. I will say, the side missions you get now are pretty clever.
I like the side missions.
It was a nice way to put things to do in the game. I had them. I actually, and they're not that hard. I actually had them almost all complete but one.
I think they add to the game without like sidetracking you from the actual gameplay.
I mean, they're yeah, it
It
sidetracks you, but it sidetracks you in a way that makes it worthwhile. Like
yes, but no.
you
Like
have to revisit areas, and it makes it feel worthwhile to go revisit some areas.
when I say sidetrack, it's like I'm talking about like something that just a mission that throws you way out of the fucking nowhere for no reason.
No, there's some of them. Like there were some that were kind of out there. Like you had to go look for them,
Yeah, but you
but they were.
also they're like they aren't that important. Like you get a couple little things from them, but they don't seem that important. It's just something you can do extra when you play.
Yeah. So I mean that was good.
Yeah.
Other than that, like I was happy with the ending. They cut out some things I wish. They cut out the giant Napoleon robot.
Vic. Oh, that's that's kind of sad actually.
They cut out quite a few things,
Yeah.
but for what they cut out, they added more. Like the beginning village was way bigger.
Yeah.
It felt more cohesive than just random areas you walk to and then you have to deal with.
Well, hell, I forgot how long the freaking game was. It's a long game compared to Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 1. Like it is a long game. It's
Resident Evil 2 is really long.
you can beat Resident Evil 2 in like 3 hours, easy.
Yeah.
This game, it's like a 18-hour
I
game.
meant the
Like if you're
remakes. I mean, as far as remakes go, like,
for the remakes.
the original RE2, you could beat in a couple hours by
Yeah.
doing whatever sequence breaking and all that kind of fun stuff.
No, no. I mean, just the playthrough for Resident Evil 2.
But you would
It's
have to.
not that long.
Yeah, it depends on if you both discs.
Oh, I mean, I guess if you want to count that, sure.
Because that's
It's
part
like
of it.
6 hours then.
And yeah, it's like 6 to 8 hours
Yeah.
typically.
And then
I think
Resident
I
Evil
think my
1, that's like a
playthrough.
2-hour game.
Yeah, that one's super
Yeah.
low. RE2 for that one was like average playtime 8 to 12 hours for the original. The remake is an average of 10 to 16. Like
Okay,
with the cutscenes and all the extras and some of the stuff you have to do, it's
that's cool.
and I didn't get bored. I didn't get bored with any of these. They changed. They took out that. They took out the P3, that weird scorpion monster that had no purpose. Remember, you were going through the caves, and all of a sudden there was a suspended cage that you had to maze your way through and drop it in sections of it to try to get rid of the monster. And it was just really out of place.
Oh yeah,
It was
I
that weird
remember.
thing that has like a bug body and then has a bug coming out its back and kind of looks like the centaurs from Fallout 4. They took that out.
Yeah.
They took out. They took out like nothing significant, but they didn't. They added some specific like the chase sequence with that's what is the tyrant guy's name with the fake eye?
Oh, I know you're talking.
Um,
The big guy with the fake eye.
yeah,
Everybody knows.
look up his name real quick, just because I had it. I
What
said
am
it
I
earlier.
fucking Jamie?
Yeah, right. I said it. I said it earlier in the episode. because Sadler's the main end guy. Um, so it's gonna bug me. But they added more to him. Like that.
Oh, Mendes.
Yeah.
Torres Mendes.
Yes. Now, one of the things I like, they added more to him, but I really liked in the beginning when you first meet him after you save Louise that they kind of nerfed Leon with it, where when you first meet him, remember Leon goes to spin kick him because he thinks he's like unstoppable,
Yeah.
and then it shows he's like haha, and then all of a sudden he looks at his foot and Mendez has his foot and he throws him
Grabs his foot and just yeets him.
yeah, throws him like a doll, and then knocks him out from that. Like they took that out, but how they did it wasn't too bad either. He went to stab him, and Mendes just cold clocks him.
Yeah. Yep. That's
The chase sequence was really well done.
Yep.
It actually threw me off.
What'd you think about them removing the cutscene like trigger events?
I'm thoroughly okay with
Yeah, I'm kind of am too.
that. Because there wasn't too many. There was only one real cutscene one that you had to worry about. Like the rest were just like as you're walking, it goes, oh, they're doing order quick act time. Like there was only one scene that was a cutscene quick time event that had nothing to do with anything, and that was the fight with Krauser.
Yeah.
And they took that out and they refurbished it to being a full-on fight scene where you had to fight with knives and you had to use the parry system.
Ooh.
And you actually
Okay.
and it's really good and it feels really good. And they're keeping all the dialogue like they had when they first did it, so they didn't take away from that cutscene. They just made it a playable sequence through the whole cutscene
Okay.
instead of being quick times and hoping you remember what you're doing. So that felt really good. Um, the Krauser fight is way better in this than it was in the first game.
They added the cowhead guy.
They added they added some new characters, but they took away some good ones. Like they added the cowhead guy, but took away the P3, and that made me sad. They added the mini parasites that attach the plagas that attach themselves to bodies.
Oh, those
and
things
then
make them
make them run fast and all that. That was a cool new enemy.
I like those.
Uh, I like how you can interrupt them coming back to life after you blow their heads with a quick stab to the neck. That was well done. The combat just was very smooth all the way through. Um, the only sad thing is now you can't slightly walk right to dodge every axe in the game.
Yeah, that's fair. The combat system is so much better than the original Resident Evil 4, and part of that's because back Resident Evil 4,
every game had to improve it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in Resident Evil 4, like that's, I mean, early in like over the shoulder game.
That was the game
too.
that pioneered it. That's there might have been some other games that kind of tooled with it, but that's the game that pioneered it. And
they got it good. It got it good enough so that it was like serviceable, so that it felt like a good game. But we've had so much time since there where it's got advanced and there's more tactics that are being used.
Yeah.
You have like Dark Soul games and stuff like that. So,
but yes, I would say RE4, the original, is the pioneer of the over the shoulder shooter.
I agree.
Like there might have been a game that tried it here and there, but didn't execute it as well as RE4 did. So I mean, this remake's successful. Um, they didn't ruin it, so
Hey, Resident Evil property, and they didn't ruin it. I'm always happy.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm a little worried because we've had a steady release of games without any flops. We had 2 remake success, 7 success, 3 remake. I'd say that was the failure.
I've heard bad things about RE3 remake.
It was clunky. It was very It wasn't the worst. It was super short. Like it was
It was
short.
short, and they cut things from the original game.
Well, yeah, I expected them to do that. But if you cut things from a game, you need to add other things, and they didn't really add anything. Um, and how they did the how they did that was they ruined the Nemesis system. Like RE2 did it great with Mr. X. Then they tried to do a pseudo Mr. X with RE3 remake, but how they did it was the only time you never had to worry about Nemesis until the absolute time you knew it was gonna be like, oh, this is getting unusually quiet. I'm pretty sure Nemesis is gonna show up here any second.
Okay, plot device.
Yeah, it was plot device.
Yeah.
Like he was only like a scripted thing. Everything with him was scripted instead of being a constant looming presence.
Okay.
Um,
You know what game I've really enjoyed Resident Evil adjacent? Dead by Daylight.
where you stop trying to plug that shit game.
Look, it is the other than RE4 remake, it's the best Resident Evil game I've played since 4 originally.
Did you play 7?
I didn't play 7.
Play 7.
I'll play 7. I'll give it a shot, but I'm just saying that Dead by Daylight is you get to play as Nemesis and you get to play as Wesker.
Drop it,
and
John.
William Birkin. Look,
John,
there's not much better.
You're not going to convince me on this stupid ass game.
Look, I don't need to convince you. I just need to convince your listeners. All right?
You know, they have brains. They have
brains, so they'll actually play the game.
So no, so 8 was for me a success, but there was people who
8 was mixed reception.
I wouldn't say it was mixed reception.
Did you ever play Resident Evil Survivor?
Yes, I did.
What did you think about that one?
Oh my god, that was a travesty when it came out.
I think it gets a bad rap. It's a fast game. It's really quick. You can beat it like in a day. Like it's super easy to beat.
Let me put it like this: Resident Evil Survivor is not as bad as like Outbreak was. Outbreak was
okay.
Horrible.
Here's an obscure one: Resident Evil Gaiden.
Oh my god!
The Resident Evil that they took out of the canon, because otherwise Leon S. Kennedy would have I don't know some insect virus in his body right now, and he's just an undercover plant.
Yeah.
But maybe that still can.
There's a lot of
Resident Evil 9. Leon S. Kennedy becomes the monster we all know he became in
with what they're doing now is like the remakes are like their own series of canon. Like 7 and 8 were their own own engine.
Okay.
They're a first person engine, which is great. It revitalized that. It felt really good. I don't see how they're going to string them all together. I think if they keep going with the RE4 remake style, they just need to do what they're doing, kind of like Activision and Infinity Ward, where they each make games of the same series, but they're different from each other.
I think the over-the-shoulder camera is where I like Resident Evil. I'm not sure I like Resident Evil as a first-person game.
I think
we have enough first-person shooters. We don't need more.
I think you would like 7. I think you'd like 7.
I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot on your recommendation, but
do you have
in
an Xbox
general,
or do you have just a computer?
PC.
Okay. Yeah, get it. It's like $5 right
now. Oh hell.
Yeah, it's worth it. Trust me, it's super worth it.
That's not even as much as I spent for William Birkin and Dead by Daylight.
God, shut the hell up. So, I mean, there's so much I could say here and talk to you about RE4.
Oh, go ahead.
Like where you're at, because I don't want to give everything away because they did change some things, but nothing significant enough. But at the same time, it's kind of douchey to spoil things. So you can be like, oh, that's where they changed that. I would like you to experience that. Has there been anything you're like say to yourself that you didn't like?
You know, honestly, every time I've stepped away from my computer after playing that game, I just thought, wow, they did a really good fucking job with this game.
Yes.
Like, Yeah, I could nitpick some other stuff, but to me, this feels like a 9.5 to a 10 out of 10. Like, this is, in my opinion, probably one of the best games that have come out in the past couple years.
Yeah.
And
I think
it's
the only
just,
thing,
it's cool that it's a remake. Like, I'm fine with it being a remake, and I
yeah,
don't
because
dock it points for that.
right
But
now, I think the only thing I even remotely even put in a negative connotation was them taking away the camp,
yeah,
the B movie camp. Which, whatever, it happens. Like, that's not going to hit like it used to. So I get it. So I mean, I'd say it's 8 or 9 out of my book as
okay, fair enough.
well.
Are you
But
gonna watch the new Evil Dead movie?
I already did.
Was it good?
Yes.
Okay. Was it
Did you watch?
campy? Any camp? No camp? Just
It got
gritty like the last Evil Dead remake that they
yes,
did.
because it's a continuation of that.
Oh, it is a continuation.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
it's a separate story, but it's see, it's a weird thing. It's a separate story, but it's tied to that, like a loose tie.
I don't think it's Evil Dead without Bruce Campbell.
And that's 100% fair.
Yeah.
Like, I 100% agree with that. Um, I just wish they would have finished Evil Dead, Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Oh, they didn't end up finishing that.
They got most of the way and then they just stopped.
Okay.
Um, that was a great show. Uh, I really can't think of anything else to talk about. We've ran through the game. Um, I mean, you can't really talk about what you feel about the finish. I don't even think you got to the point where you met Sadler yet.
Yeah, I think so.
Like they kind of make mention of him, but you haven't. If you're still at the castle,
Yeah.
you haven't dealt with him yet.
Yeah, maybe not. Eh,
They and everyone there was some negative Nance. A good thing I mentioned Sadler because there was some people who were being negative Nancy's about how they did Sadler's character in this game.
yeah,
But they don't realize that Sadler in the first game was a generic, no personality villain guy.
that's fair. Yeah.
In this one, they push the more religious, crazy aspect,
Okay.
which gives him more character. We're like, well, he's very bland. I was like, he was very bland in the first game. He was just the overarching guy that had all the colorful characters for him.
Yeah.
Like, that's usually how Resident Evil goes. The villains are usually generic. The main villain's usually a generic guy who either turns himself into a monster or gets killed by a monster. Where all the colorful characters are like the monsters that he surrounds himself with that he uses to his advantage, or his lackeys that are super unnecessarily crazy for no reason and decide to go with his plan for no other reason.
You know, sometimes it isn't about who you are, but the monsters you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil 8 is a perfect example of that. Mother Miranda is generic villainous chick who wants to complete her evil plan.
Is that the chick on your wall with the knockers?
Yeah, no, that's Lady Dimitrescu.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're not gonna talk about her because I promised that I would stop circling back to that subject because she is like my video game
Well, so
crush.
all right. Well, we can circle back to a different subject.
Okay.
I was thinking about what's that Majin Buu looking android thing?
Oh, Android 21.
So Android 21, I remember when I was on the radio show, I had mentioned the Rule 34 Android 21 thing on your phone. You're like, it's not Rule 31 or 34. It's nothing.
It's not. It
And
wasn't.
you were defending yourself. But I come to see that you have a Rule 34 Android 20. Tell me it is.
It is at best. I wouldn't say provocative, but it insinuates things. But
See, that's enough. That's enough, I think.
no,
Yeah.
that's not what Rule 34 is.
Okay. All right.
So in your face.
In my face.
Yeah, in your face. And good thing I'm cutting that section out. Because that seems a little unnecessary. But back off the Lady Demetress stuff. Well, circling back to Lady Demetress stuff, even though I don't want to circle back to it, when we were talking about colorful characters. being around the main villain, where the main villain's usually bland, but his underlings are usually colorful ones. Mother Miranda was the generic villain person. Her four lords that ruled over the land were the colorful characters. You had Lady Demetress, the giant 8 foot tall vampire lady. You had, who is still my favorite character in that game. Then we had Benavides, who was a crazy, like, her section was the scariest part in the game. Hers was the true horror part of that game. Then you had Monroe, who was just the undying subordinate of Mother Miranda. Even though she never cared about him, he was always like, "She loves me. She's my mom," and she's like, "I don't care about him. He's a failure."
Wow.
Like he was the brother everyone hated, like
Yeah.
the one that screw up all the time.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then you had Heisenberg, which was like the oldest brother.
Oh, I saw
Who's
him. He was that the guy in Breaking Bad.
I don't like you right now. His Carl Heisenberg, his whole shtick was like he was the favorite brother, but he was always plotting on Miranda for his own gain.
Gotcha.
And they all just created a nice, cohesive unit of characters that played in different aspects of Resident Evil. Dimitrescu was the tyrant character who was super big and tough and would chase you around through the whole game, so she filled in the role for Mr. X in this. Um,
I do know one thing about Resident Evil. This is Resident Evil 7, right?
no,
8. That's the one with Lady.
Dimitrescu.
So there is a part where you walk into a room and there is a blood curdling scream, and that is Meg from Dead by Daylight.
I knew you were gonna go back to that just from the look on your face.
Look, it's a fact. I'm just it's one thing that I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. So, like that. So to circle back, like I said, the height of most of the villains in Resident Evil games are the subordinate villains. The main villain's usually just the generic, douchey evil guy who either becomes a monster or gets killed by a monster.
Yep.
So, like you said, you think it's a 9 to a 10 out of 10. I'm on a 8 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I think either's fine. I mean, as far as it's not really. It feels more like an action survival horror than just survival horror.
Yeah, but
because that's kind of how Resident Evil 4
was. It was an action shooter.
Yeah.
That just decided to let's just take all the Resident Evil canon and run with it. Just
yeah, I think I was okay with it with Resident Evil 2 because it still was enough like it felt like survival because you were a little tight on resources at points and things like that. Resident Evil 5, I couldn't get into it.
Resident Evil 5 is not the worst.
It just I think that's where I started to fall off with the
Resident Evil 5 was a bad game for a number of reasons, but because all they did was they didn't refine anything. They literally just took Resident Evil 4 and gave it new graphics. And they wanted to push the Chris Redfield and the Albert Wesker storyline, which is fine. But where they failed is the implementation system. So instead of having the nice, usable trunk, the carrying case system like 4 had, they had that stupid 9-slot grid thing that you had to use.
Oh yeah, yep.
And you had to like shuffle. And what made it even funnier is your armor took up a pocket of your armor in the game. So you couldn't just so you had to remove because you had 9 slots all the way around for your ammo, your guns, and all that. And they take up a slot each. Your gun would take up a slot, your ammo would take up a slot.
Well, you got to put your armor in the slot.
Yeah, you have to put your armor in one of the slots for you to use. It was a really poorly implemented system. Also, when they decided to take Chris Redfield and just steroid him out.
Yeah, punching boulders.
Yes. That was probably the saving grace of that game for me. To be honest,
Yeah.
that was one of the highlights of that game. Like we can make fun of it, but it was a highlight of that game. There's not a lot of things people remember about that, except for that.
Sometimes highlights of games that weren't that great are the absurd things about the games. And that doesn't necessarily mean that was a good highlight, but
I think
certainly
it was.
memorable.
I also like the fact that they were standing in an active volcano within 5 inches of lava, and none of them burst into flames. Not a one of them burst into flames, and they're straight breathing in that sulfur, so they would have died just from the oxygen loss, let alone
Oh, sure. Yeah.
let alone the lava, let alone the giant evil guy that's swinging his arm around all crazy. And then there was 6, which was a total travesty.
Yeah, I knew better than to even get into it.
Yeah, I did. I bought it on day one, the day one edition.
Wow.
And paid the extra money for it too. Yeah, at that point, my mom stopped loving me when she found out about it.
What was the worst part about
The whole game was bad. It was awful. They fixed some of the inventory stuff, not much of it. It was still really poorly implemented there too. It was a little bit better than fives. But each character playthrough was a completely different game.
it? Okay.
Um, Leon Kennedy's storyline in that was a straight horror, survival horror game. Fine, great. Felt like Resident Evil the whole way through. Then you jumped into Chris Redfield's story, which was a action revenge shooter with some really homoerotic tones to it. That is the best way I can put it.
Oh, okay.
Like, where they're not like overtly like trying to be like you could see like them being a couple, but this was pushing it. Like him and Pierce was really like
Maybe they were.
I was like, get a room. Just tell me that they're this way. Don't sit there just kind of like where they insinuate stuff or say stuff that could be like, what reminds me the ambiguously gay duo from SNL from way back in the day, where they did all this stuff where it's like, really,
Maybe Chris is deeply closeted.
maybe,
Come out whenever you're ready, Chris.
yes.
Don't rush on Kyle's behalf.
Yeah, right. Come out with Resident Evil 9. We made Chris Redfield officially gay. Thank you, Kyle Weaver, for pushing us to take this courageous step.
Tucker Carlson starts knocking on your door. I heard you're trying to pass the liberal homoerotic agenda. Can you speak to that?
Oh my god.
Good stuff.
Yeah. No, but it was just really weird, like how him and Pierce were just really. It wasn't like you said, it was pushing like there's more to it than just they're partners in the same unit.
Yeah, it's like when me and you hang out.
Yeah. So there was that. Then you jumped into the Ashley and Wesker's son story, which was a action kung fu brawler with a nemesis system, like having their own Mr. X.
Oh, okay.
That was also weird. And then the hidden storyline that you unlocked after beating the whole game was the Ada Wong stealth mission sneak game. It was like Siphon Filter, or not Siphon Filter. What is that game? Oh my god, what is that stupid game with where you have to sneak everywhere?
Metal Gear Solid?
No, not that one. The more serious one.
Oh, I know a game you have to sneak everywhere. Dead by Daylight. If you sneak from the killer, they can't chase you if they can't find you. So, and all you have to do is
It's the
5
one
generators,
it's the
and then
one
you power the exit gate, and you can get right out there. You can play with Sheva, Jill, Leon, Claire as the survivors, all up against William Birkin. Holy shit! In the Raccoon Police Department. Wow. Every game's different, unlike the linear track of Resident Evil 2.
So, do you know what game I'm talking about with Sam Fisher, the stealth game? Uh,
Yeah, sure.
Dan played it a lot.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. The Fisher.
What was it, Dan?
Yeah, Dan. What was it?
The game with Sam Fisher, the sneaking game. I can't remember what it's called. Splinter Cell.
Yeah, Splinter Cell.
Thank you, Dan. Dan's in the background, looming like a vampire.
You didn't give me a microphone. Here, just come over here and breathe on top of me, real close.
Get out of my face, Dan. Punch you in the throat. So, yeah, I think we're gonna start slowing it down. Uh, there will be an intro video to this to explain that we are no longer associated with WXPI. We will now just be doing our own thing, not going through them. So there should be more content being created. John would actually enjoy if you'd come around a couple times here and there.
Yeah, I'd be happy to hang out, talk, shoot the shit.
Yeah, shoot the shit. Like it's more fun that way. Any games you recommend that you're playing or about to play?
Well, tonight actually, I'm going to be streaming some Dead by Daylight.
Yes.
No, but also another
channel.
asymmetrical action game that came out recently that isn't Dead by Daylight. Evil Dead got released on Steam, and it is like 35% off. It's like $25 or something like that.
Yeah, the Evil Dead game.
It seems pretty good. I might end up playing that, but yeah, I'm gonna be streaming. I stream every Thursday and Monday, 8 o'clock. Monday and Thursday, I guess, more natural way of saying that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah, the host on Twitch, and yeah, we play games, have fun. We do a lot with Resident Evil, Dead by Daylight, and some 7 Days to Die. Got some zombie survival Minecraft game, you know.
Yeah. Stupid ass Dead by Daylight.
It's a lot of fun, man.
I know, but you plugged it like 15 times in my show.
That was
you go, a game that's not Dead by Daylight. In a negative way.
So yeah. So
anyways, about Michael Scott, the best boss.
I hate you. But
it's been fun, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm glad. This has actually been the first actual gaming side of things we've been doing in a while. That's been a technical nightmare.